Ladies and gentlemen, gosh, some people are just so fortunate and lucky, and their investment strategies are fantastic. And there's certainly nothing to see here. And I'm only being, giving everyone the benefit of the doubt. To my super chat, thank you so very much. You give me every incentive to rock these live streams. Ladies and gentlemen, let me read you this, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. 4 senators sold stocks before the market downturn. I'm sure it was just lady luck. 4 senators sold stocks after a January briefing. Wasn't invited, were you? Were you invited to the briefing? Anyone here? Of course, my computer messes up as usual. Let's see. So, oh Lord. Okay, hold on one second. Let's try this again. Oh my God. 4 senators sold stocks after going to a Senate briefing, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness. That is a coincidence beyond belief, because I don't see any foul play other than the fact that there was a briefing that perhaps they learned some information. But of course they would have told everyone else the information. Why would they not do that? I mean, that would be potentially breaking the law. According to financial disclosures, Senators Kelly Loeffler, James Inhofe, Dianne Feinstein, Richard Burr, never Trump, Richard Burr. Oh, interesting. Don't expect too much love from the Trump supporters, Senator. Each sold hundreds of thousands of dollars in stocks within days of the Senate holding a classified briefing. Oh, wow. Each sold hundreds of thousands of dollars in stocks within days of the Senate holding a classified briefing. This is The Hill on January 24th with Trump administration officials on everything going on now. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. They sold stocks after a briefing. The sales raised questions about whether the senators violated the Stock Act, a law that bans members of Congress from making financial trades based on non-public information. Well, I have to tell you, the timing is very good. The timing is suspicious. The issue, ladies and gentlemen, is not the stock trade. It's not a matter of whether you timed the market, which you shouldn't do. It's a matter of the classified briefing prior to the sale. Again, this is not a matter of the stock trade. This is a matter of the classified briefing prior to the sale. That's the issue. That's the issue. It's the classified briefing and what was told within the classified briefing. So, you're probably looking at some foul play here. That's not a stretch of the imagination. But you would have to it's not that difficult to find out. These people have brokerage firms where they have financial advisors. I used to be a financial advisor, and they usually have companies, corporations that actually do the stock trading for the financial advisor for the brokerage firm. So the brokerage firm will have a client, and there'll be a stockbroker or financial advisor that has the client under his portfolio, like it's his client. And then instead of buying and selling the stocks himself, he'll refer the client to another company, a stock trading company, that has some kind of system or algorithm or formula where they time the market or do whatever works for them in the long term. But the bizarre thing is that, so it's not really the money that they make. It's the money they make from selling after the classified briefing. That's the issue. The issue is not making money before a downturn. You could have theoretically looked at this and said, well, it's in another country, and it could reach us. So therefore, I'm just going to sell the stocks before everyone starts selling their stocks. But if you make the investment decision with information that's not public, that's an issue. So check this out. This is really interesting. The sales raised questions about whether the senators violated the Stock Act. This is interesting. So Laufer and her husband, who is the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. Oh my God. Her husband is the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. So this is hilarious. So she's a Republican from Georgia, Senator Kelly Laufer, and her husband is the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange. And then she had a classified briefing because she's a senator. And then after the classified briefing, they sold at least $355,000 in stocks from January 24th to the 31st. After the briefing hosted by the Senate Health and Foreign Relations Committee, the senator and her husband also sold $890,000 in stocks from February 5th to 14th, the 5th to the 14th, just days after the first confirmed case in the U.S. Okay, so, oh my God, the sales worth at least $1.2 million together saved Laufer and her husband from steep losses they would have incurred after the market downturn began February 24th. Dun dun dun! Laufer said in a pair of tweets Friday that she doesn't control her and her husband's financial decisions and was informed of the sales on February 16th. This is a ridiculous and baseless attack. her husband is the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, and she's a senator. And there was a classified briefing that she sold stocks immediately after. Okay, there's nothing to see here. I do not make investment decisions for my portfolio. That's true, but the people who do make investment decisions might have been tipped off by you. Investment decisions are made by multiple third-party advisors without my or my husband's knowledge or involvement. Well, that's not true at all. The involvement is that you hired them. Okay. Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs. All right, so I instructed my financial advisor to move me out of all stocks and into mutual funds to avoid any appearance of controversy. Oh, then Inhofe. So then, okay, Inhofe sold $180,000 in stocks. Feinstein, one of the longest-term Senate Democrats, sold at least $500,000 in shares of a California biotech company on January 31st, and at least $1 million of the stock on February 18th, so $1.5 million. What? 1.5 million before the downturn after a classified briefing? What? Wait a second. Wait a second. Feinstein, one of the longest-running Democrats, sold at least 500,000 shares of a California biotech company and another 1 million shares of the same company 3 weeks later, before the market downturn. $1.5 million? $1.5 million before the market downturn? Okay. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. So, this is not just a coincidence. This is a big problem. Right or left, it doesn't matter. It's a big problem. Huge issue. You can't do that. You can't do that. After a classified briefing, you cannot do that. That's a big problem. Big problem. And $1.5 million of a biotech company in California, in your state, see, that doesn't make any sense at all. It's true. If I said shares, it's probably way more. But no, I believe I read dollars. Let me see. Did I read dollars or shares? Oh, at least 500,000 in shares and at least $1 million. So $500,000 in shares and $1 million. So $1.5 million. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. So, you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where people could be using information, dare I say, for their own advantage. New York Post. Dianne Feinstein, Jim Inhofe made stock trades before market downturn. Senator Dianne Feinstein and Jim Inhofe sold as much as $6.4 million worth of stocks in weeks before the downturn. Wow. Feinstein, a California Democrat, sold $500,000 to $1 million worth of a stock in a pharmaceutical company, or a biotech company. And then less than a month before the downturn, her husband sold $1 million to $5 million worth of shares. Oh, what? On February 18th? Oh, my God. Right before the downturn. Oh, my God. Wow. That's interesting. So, husband and wife team sells about $6 million potentially. Because it doesn't say. It says $1 million to $5 million her husband sold. That's interesting. That is really interesting. Of course, this is taking 1 million years to load. Howard Walters, thank you. You know, I have a whole bunch of beanies that I got like last year for like 75% off. So, I'm not a Panthers fan, but I mean, you know, I enjoy rocking different types of beanies. Thank you, Howard. So, you have a husband and wife, and Dianne Feinstein and her husband, who sold $1 million to $5 million worth. This is really interesting. $1 million to $5 million worth. And it's kind of like right after a classified briefing. So you have to ask yourself, what's going on? Did the classified briefing play a role? Almost certainly it did. Okay? Almost certainly it did. Ronald, hello. I do. The bobbleheads, those were the days. They're all gone now, the bobbleheads. Okay, so hold on. Dianne Feinstein. New York Post. So let's see here. Senator Richard Burr. I love this. Senator Richard Burr sold a fortune in stocks. This is New York Times, and then they don't talk about the $6 million from Feinstein and her husband, which is hilarious. So that's good. Good job, New York Times. That's hilarious. So you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where you have one Democrat and 3 Republicans, I believe. One or two never Trumpers who just miraculously sell stocks right before the complete downturn. So you have a situation. Richard Burr sold how much? Let's see. Trying to look at this. I'm trying to look at this New York Times article, but here. Miss Feinstein and her husband sold $1.5 million to $6 million worth of stock in a California-based biotech company between January 1st and February 18th. Okay. So let's just assume it's closer to $6 million. Don't you love how... So Richard Burr sells $1.7 million. Okay. But the headline is Richard Burr made a fortune, which he did, but Dianne Feinstein, with her husband, sells $1 million to $6 million, and she's not even in the headline. Don't you love the New York Times? I love the New York Times. It's so great how media just not only is in the tank, but it's like, it's just unbelievable. Eric H526, hello. Yeah, those are the days, the bobblehead days. Those were the days. So you just have, it's so hilarious too. Miss Feinstein and her husband sold $1.5 million to $6 million worth in stock of a California-based biotech company in transactions that took place on January 31st to February 18th. Coincidentally, right before everything tanked. That is really interesting. That is so interesting. Wow. And then the headlines are like, I think you could, like, if you add, which is, it doesn't exonerate the 3 Republicans, but I think if you add the 3 Republicans, it's still not the $6 million that California senator and her husband made. Again, I'm not saying that to exonerate the Republicans. I don't care. I'm not a Republican. I'm voting for President Trump. So there's a great many people who are voting for President Trump who are just not Republican, not Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I want Americans home from never-ending conflict. $1.5 million to $6 million. So, wow. That is right after a classified briefing also. Right after a classified briefing. So now, the whole thing is like you have to prove that somebody knew something, which I say actually isn't that difficult. Not that difficult. The timing. Look. When you're dealing with that much money, it's theoretically possible to say, hey, I'm going to be smart and time things. Or whatever. You're not even really supposed to time the market if you're investing long term. But right after a classified briefing, that's the problem. So senators deny they're corrupt after dumping stocks before market downturn. 4 senators are scrambling to explain why they sold stocks after non-public briefings in January, facing calls for his resignation for selling as much as $1.72 million in stocks. Where's Feinstein's calls for resignation? She sold up to $6 million in stocks. The Senate Intelligence Committee chair, I don't really care. This guy pushed the whole Trump-Russia thing also, so I don't really care. But Senate Intelligence Committee chair Senator Richard Burr asked congressional investigators to probe whether his actions amounted to insider trading. Burr, an apparent no-show at Friday's lunch for Senate Republicans, sat in regular confidential briefings about, and sold off his stocks in companies that later would tank at the market sell-off. Senator Kelly Loeffler sold as much as $3.1 million. So, and Inhofe sold a couple $100,000. So it's interesting. It's interesting. It's kind of interesting to see how why would they think they could get away with this? Why would they think they could get away with this? That's the real question. The real question is, don't they understand that not only are they very wealthy, but you're talking about a couple weeks after, not even a couple, you're talking about days after a classified briefing, or weeks, but still, and then right before the market downturn, and then you say there's nothing. Meanwhile, people are struggling. The average American's struggling to just buy toilet paper. So that's a big issue. People are losing their jobs, their livelihood, all under the guise of saving human beings. It's like they're like, oh, we have to do this to save people's lives, and then you ruin the lives of people with tanking the economy. Shutting down an entire state of 40 million people, 14.5% of the U.S. economy. So, I'll take this off for a second. So, that the average person should have been given the classified briefing information. The average person should have been given some kind of, because people are now, you cannot even buy. I was at the supermarket yesterday. You can't buy more than 4 frozen items, or at least in one supermarket. You can't buy more than 1 milk. You can't buy more than 1 orange juice. And they're selling $6 million? A total, I think, of $8-9 million, $10 million. They were all. If you combine all of their stock trades, it's about $10 million for all 4, with Feinstein being the biggest, most lucrative of all 4. So, it's interesting too, because the way it's like, I really don't care if the establishment Republicans, you know, whether it's an establishment Republican or Democrat, you're pretty much the same in many ways. In many ways, you're going to pump the Trump-Russia myth, and you're going to then get some pretty good stock advice. And generally, like I said, you're supposed to invest. If it's long-term, you're supposed to invest. Long-term, you're not supposed to time any market. The money isn't going to be liquid. It's going to be tied in stocks for years and years if you want to invest long-term. But see, that's bizarre too, because they're picking companies. Like she sold. Okay, let's read this again. $6 million in the same company. So sorry. Ms. Feinstein and her husband sold $1.5 million to $6 million worth of stock in a biotech company, California-based biotech company. The transactions took place from January 31st to February 18th. And then February 24th, the market downturn. So you have one stock. It's not like, oh, it's a system we've developed where we're just, selling off to take profits. No. What did you... It's not even about the classified briefing. What did you know about that company? What did you know about that specific company? Why that specific company? So, you gotta ask yourself. I mean, this is the shadiest of all. That's this, but the Senator Laufer, that's bizarre also. Richard Senator Burr, that's bizarre also. Inhofe, I think, sold what? A couple $100,000. Let's see. These senators are wealthy. They're not worried about toilet paper. They're making their own toilet paper. That's right, baby. They're making their own toilet paper. Poor Inhofe. He sold about $180,000. He's the poorest of all of them. So Inhofe sold about $150,000 to $350,000. Richard Burr sold what, like $1.2 million? Laufer sold close to what, $2 to $3 million? Let's see. Let's see. So Kelly Laufer. I was like, we don't even do any of the stock trades. Like, so what? That doesn't mean anything. Oh, great. The Georgia special election. Congrats. Let's see. How much did... Of course, my computer is super slow. I don't know why. But... let's see. This is CNN. How Richard Burr and Kelly Laufer became political villains. Of course, no mention of Dianne Feinstein's $6 million trade. No mention. And don't you love how they're like, well, she could have sold about $2 to $6 million. We just don't know. It could have been anywhere in between. Don't you love that? You can add... Todd Ruvel, Giovanni's buying Christmas. Eric H526, that's true. Oh, that's funny. That's Todd Ruble. Gosh, and that Burisma stock looks so enticing. I don't want to tell you what Hunter's buying stock in, I'll tell you. I don't even want to go there. Todd Rubel, thank you. Wow, look at that. So, let's see here. They keep on talking, by the way. They keep on talking about, like, they're like, oh, well, there's nothing to see here, and I want an investigation. It's like, they keep on, they use it seems like the Democrats keep getting away with, there's no doubt that the three Republicans and Feinstein is like the most suspicious of all three. Because if you have the spouse of a senator who had a classified briefing selling up to $6 million worth of stock, that's a problem. But when Kelly Loeffler says, oh, there's nothing to see here. No, you hired your broker or your financial firm, and somehow they got the information. So the question is, how were they? And you're going to look at the performance of the people who made the stock trades. If they stink, if they don't make these amazing calls, like when was the last time the broker or the brokerage firm or the money management company, so they have these money managers. At what point did the money manager ever make a similar type of? At what point did the money manager make a similar type of call? If this is not indicative of like what they can do normally, then it's a problem. It's kind of like, look, if you have a singles hitter that suddenly, for 5 years just hits singles and doubles, and then he hits 40 homers, you know what's going on. Something's going on. Something's going on. So, let's see here. The insider trading is kind of hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious, but it's like... Richard Burr, by the way, gets no love. No love from Trump supporters. No love, no love, no love, no love, no love, no love. This was the same man that just kept going and going with Russian interference. You can add up all the stock trades, by the way, of the three Republicans, and it still wouldn't be $6 million for Feinstein and her husband. So that's, Yeah, it'll be interesting. The big issue is how do you prove that they knew beforehand? So they're going to say, well, they're going to give you Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, is going to be nominee. This is all a complete charade, and it's working to a T. Like, basically, everything's happening almost exactly the way I stated, because I was I did not know how this is going to happen. Like, how Clinton is going to enter, I didn't know, but I knew she would enter. She's going to enter. So, let's see. Okay. Senator faced calls to resign over insider trading. These senators are done. Feinstein, I don't know how. You know what the thing, Feinstein is not getting the same publicity So, I mean, it's very bad when the Republicans do it, but it's actually worse when Feinstein sells even more money in one stock right before the downturn. 4 U.S. senators under scrutiny over claims they used insider knowledge about the impending crisis to sell shares before prices plummeted. Republican Richard Burr and Kelly Loeffler face calls to quit after selling millions in stock last month. James Inhofe, a Republican, and Dianne Feinstein, a Democrat, also reportedly sold holdings at the time. This is hilarious. Dianne Feinstein, $1 million to $6 million. I love how they with the Democrat, it's like her and her husband. It could be 1 million, could be 6 million. We don't know. But with Richard Burr and Kelly Loeffler, it's the exact total. And how do you not know also? How do you not know also? This is kind of funny. Senator Burr dumped $1.7 million in stock last month. Loeffler sold up to $3 million. Feinstein up to from $1 million to $6 million. And Poor Inhofe sold a couple $100,000. Poor Inhofe. Poor guy. Oh my God. Mr. Burr, chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, has also come under scrutiny after NPR obtained a recording of him warning a group of wealthy constituents last month about the dire economic impact. Oh my God. He also told the group to curtail their travel. Oh my God. You have to resign tomorrow. Not just about the stocks. You telling people to curtail their travel? There were people who literally had to cancel a day before. Can you imagine all the people stuck in airports because the wonderful Senator Burr didn't tell them? Because all of these senators didn't tell them. Like, you have classified briefings. Forget about just the insider trading. The insider trading is bad enough. But you have classified briefings about the welfare of 320 million Americans, and you don't give information to America. You don't say, why is that even a classified briefing? It should be, if it's about the public health, it should be given, the briefing should not be classified. So you don't have to shut down entire states. Gee, I wonder what the political benefit is. Oh, that's right. Trying to force a recession. There's a political benefit to this also, a political calculus. Democrats always work. Just in 2016, Trump rallies. Well, guess 2 operatives were forced to resign in the Democratic Party for fomenting all the problems at Trump rallies. That CNN reported that. That was Veritas. Initially found that out. Weeks before, intelligence chairman privately raised alarm, sold stocks. The selling of stocks is really bad. The keeping the information from his constituents, that's really bad. The luncheon had been organized by the Tar Heel Circle, a nonpartisan group whose members consists of businesses and organizations in North Carolina, the state Burr represents. Membership to join the Tar Heel Circle costs between $500 and $10,000 and promises that members, quote, enjoy interactions with top leaders and staff from Congress, the administration, and the private sector. So they found out not that they shouldn't travel and all of that. Meanwhile, his constituents don't find that out. And that's not right. That's not right. That's I find that more egregious than anything else. But when Kelly Loeffler is married to one of the top officials of the New York Stock Exchange, yeah, I think that's an issue too. Look, government, this is the media and establishment media Well, media and establishment officials. See, Richard Burr and Dianne Feinstein agree on most things. There's about 4 or 5 fundamental differences, maybe 2 or 3 or 4. But they agree on most things. They're establishment politicians. So, and both don't really like Trump. If you look, oh, here we go. Is Trump implicated in Richard's Burr moral crime? Of course. The guy dubbed stocks, and it's Trump's fault too. It's like they can't. It is going to be so enjoyable to see their reaction in November when Trump wins. I mean, it's going to be a sight to behold, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be. They're trying to now blame Trump for Richard Burr's action. This is hilarious. This is really hilarious. So Trump passes up on chance to even score with Burr. Burr, CNN, 2018. Still a lot of investigation left on Russia. Really? You know what? I think the Trump DOJ is going to investigate your stock purchases. Big time. Big time. GOP Senator, there's a lot of investigation left on Russia despite Trump comment to the contrary. Yeah, didn't work out for you. You thought it would work out for you. And now you sold stocks along with Dianne Feinstein. And Jim Inhofe, yeah, I feel bad. I don't feel bad for him, but it's like, no, I don't feel bad for him. But it's not nearly the amount of money that the others. Exactly, Ronald. Have you seen? I am the only person on YouTube wearing the No Malarkey shirt. Valerie Rogers! Sounds like a few laws got broken. Oh, yeah. This is so easy, too. This is such an... You have a... All you have to do... It takes a second. The FBI goes and visits the financial firms or money managers that sold the stocks. And they say, did you find out? Because we're going to pull a Mueller on you. And well, actually, this wouldn't even be a Mueller. There's actually a potential crime here. You have transactions that are suspicious with information prior to the transactions. There's like a direct line of connecting dots. It's not like a dossier. You know, only Democrats would revere a dossier purchased by Clinton. They literally investigated Trump on information purchased by his direct political rival. Notice they never say Clinton is Trump's direct political rival. But everyone is, they never say that Washington Post interfered in the election with the Access Hollywood tape. Oh, but that's different. It's us. Yeah, so were the DNC emails written by us. Todd Rubel. Burr was responsible for promoting. He placed... Todd Rubel. Mitchell Smith. Hello, S.A. H.A. must repeal the 17th Amendment. Mitchell Smith. Thank you so very much. Mitchell Smith, thank you. Mitchell, thank you so very much, as always. Mitchell Smith. Todd Rubel, yes. Yes, Todd. That was a law that saved a lot of people's lives. in North Carolina. Yes. Todd Rubel. Thank you. CG3SSF. Luke St. Martin. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526. Give a lot of love to Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, Mitchell Smith, and Todd Rubel. My goodness. So let's see here. So you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where bats are back on the menu. Let's see. So let's see here. Bernie Sanders tells Trump to get your act together and protect medical personnel amid... Oh, okay. Yeah, he really cares about what you have to say, Bernie. The entire planet is waiting for you to end the campaign. People on the left say, "Oh yeah, Shea Goodman said that Bernie could still win." He could have. He was running against somebody who literally would have been indicted had the person's name not been Clinton. So yeah, he could have won up until July 5th, 2016. But this year, Bernie's can't, and he actually didn't run on this moral superiority kick that was predicated upon social media nonsense. The social media pundits that he couldn't even endorse ran his campaign into the ground. The entire Democratic Party is waiting for him to drop out so Hillary Clinton can be nominee. And they say Bernie Sanders is considering several options. Okay. He could drop out. He could keep running but not go after Biden. Yeah, that'll make the Democrats really happy. Or he could just run and see if he can get the most delegates. It's like, no, Democrats have a Bernie dossier ready and waiting. Oh my God, ready and waiting. Ready and waiting, people. The Bernie dossier. What I don't understand is you have classified meetings, not just to, okay, let's leave the stock purchases aside. Let's put the stock purchases aside. You have classified briefings on travel, on people's welfare, and you don't tell your constituents? You don't even tell your state. You should tell the country. You're a senator of the United States, not just of your state. So, it's interesting because you have people, it's like left and right. It's like they talk a big game, but then it's like they don't really want to give all the information they know to the average American. Why? Who knows why? Because they don't think that they don't see incentive in that. The politicians are like, these politicians are actors. Generally, politicians are actors. They really are actors first, before anything else. So you have these. They have people saying, by the way, that Trump's going to enact a 2-week countrywide quarantine. Yeah, I don't think so. That would absolutely cause a recession. Not just a recession. It could lead to a depression. So that would be, I would lose respect for President Trump if he did that. Because let me tell you something. California is on lockdown. That's already 14.5% of the U.S. GDP. So, you know, that would be absolutely horrible. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. We're approaching an hour, losing some steam, and I will be back at around 10 p.m. Pacific. So be here, ladies and gentlemen, 10 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you so very, very much. To my super chat, thank you very, very, very much, everyone. And Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, hello and thank you. People, be here around 10 p.m. Pacific. We'll have our usual evening live stream. And ladies and gentlemen, God bless. Have a fantastic, 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 fantastic evening. Ladies and gentlemen, life will be back to normal soon. The country will be back to normal soon. Enjoy your family, your friends. Enjoy your life. Media cannot control your happiness or who you are. So I'll see you later this evening around 10 p.m. Pacific. Thank you so very much, everyone. God bless. And just think of the amazing live streams on this channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel in November when Trump wins. Give me your thoughts below, people. Thank you so very, very much.